anyone have a rude question? Just shout it out. You know.
It's like you said you find them like really annoying when it comes to that thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, don't, like honestly, it gets worse with age. So you come back and they will still treat you like you are this age.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah, I'll give you a simple example. So yesterday when I was coming home from the Curragh, which is where the army training camp is. By the way, not that I have anything. Well, I do have something against self-harm, but not that you should be ashamed of it. But that isn't self-harm. That is well, I suppose it's open to interpretation. That is from doing the army fitness test, which I was doing yesterday. My dad was sound enough. Like, they're not bad parents. They're just really annoying. He dropped me down at the Curragh. And on the way back, we were talking about why I was swearing so much, because something that I had ended with was with the group of the cadets was getting everybody to say like, "Hey lads," so what I usually do is I say, "What do we think of cancer?" And then whoever the group is with me goes, "Yeah, fuck cancer." And then afterwards, my dad was giving me a big talk. Why are you always swearing in your live streams? You're making it more inaccessible to all these different people. And I'm here thinking like, you are telling the person who's clearly successful at this social media stuff, and you're like a dinosaur to what this is, and yet you're still telling me like that I should not swear. And he doubled down on that and he kept going with it. And then I said, okay, well, seeing as how you like Billy Connolly, you're not being a bit of a hypocrite and whatnot. And I asked him, what do you think would be the equivalent to what I should say instead of like, piss off cancer? And he came to his final answer was, oh, why don't you just say go away, cancer? Okay. And that was a difficult drive home to resist, just like rolling down the window and like climbing out and just rolling on the ground. So yeah, that's the sort of level of annoyance that goes through in the house.
Do you think your guinea pig thing affected your brain when getting cancer?
No, not really. Because other people within that group would have come out, and I contacted them and was like, hey, are you really ill as well? Someone else down here, was it?
Do you think you'd ever get on the Joe Rogan podcast or anything like that?
Hoping for it, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good,
Yeah, no, I'm trying to. Yeah, no, yeah, it's like he's a notoriously difficult person to actually get through to, because as you imagine, everyone's always trying to get on that thing. He's even mentioned it before, where there was that idiot who was like, I'm not on steroids. Who was that guy? The Liver King. Oh God. Yeah. I'm glad I'm with the same audience like this. Yeah, apparently he's been trying to get on for ages. So yeah, fingers crossed. Anyway, that we do that, because not passing through where he lives. I think he lives in Houston at the moment. But we are passing through northern Texas. So yeah, hopefully we get on that. Anything else? Yep.
Does like any of your relationships change with like how people react to you or countries you often not to?
No, and I'm delighted with that. One of the first things that this is sort of the big difference between my friends and my family. Not really too much, but the sense of humor. In a way, like going back to the annoyance of my parents thing, I wish they did. I wish they just give me a bit of a break with sort of like, why like you have to set up the. Oh, sorry, I need to go. Sorry, what was the question again? Friends and family. No, one of my friends, Billy, he actually said to me, do they happen to know how long you've had the tumor for? Because it would certainly explain a lot about your previous behaviour. So that's what my friends are like.
So is your body basically like a public bathroom now?
How do you mean? People piss all over?
Like graffiti and stuff?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, people urinate on me all the time. I'm in a weird shit. No, public bathrooms you don't have to pay for. I'm more like a private bathroom. Yep. At the start, yes. Afterwards, no. But then again, that's to do with cancer. So, cancer probably brought things down, but then I'm successful and semi-famous, so that sort of balanced it out. So, back to normal. Yep.
Has any of your chemotherapy shown results?
Yes, the last time that I got a a scan relative to the first time, the mix between chemotherapy and radiotherapy, the tumour is now slightly shrunk. So that's good news. However, it's a tricky one to do with the chemotherapy and the radiotherapy because it is poison. And the way I kind of saw it was, right, that's a win. It's definitely the right choice to make now. But hindsight being 2020, I'm now thinking, I've heard about all these other ways that you can sort of holistically and sensibly sort of push back cancer. I wish I had taken them on from the start. I wish I had just sort of massively corrected my diet and all the sort of other thing. But that's after like I've come to this side of my treatment and I'm in a better state. Would I get to this place had I not done chemotherapy and radiotherapy? I don't know. Next question.
How come you didn't go down the Walter White route with cancer?
How do you know I didn't?
Where did the name The King of Chemo come from?
That is actually a good story. So one of my dear friends, Ian Mahal, we were on an after year going away party, and we went to Crete. And Ian Mahal is one of the most odd characters you'd ever come across in your life, because if he was telling you a story about something, very soon if you're hanging around him enough, you'd know this could be 100% true, or this could be him telling a tale that he's not letting the truth get in the way. And as an example, he'd be like telling you that he works as a paramedic for like the sheikh of Saudi Arabia, and we're like, yeah, sure, yeah, and then it turns out that he is. I was like, all right, yeah, so taking this pinch of salt. And one day he comes back from like a night out where he's been missing for I think 3 days or something, and he comes back and he has these blisters all over his shoulders from like these terrible like sunburns. And he comes in and then like in his own sort of form and state. We're like, where are you, Badger? I was like, sure, I was just up in the hills. And he's from Dublin. He's down the road. Like he's from what was it, Seafield Avenue? I'm giving away a bit too much here.
He looks like a potato.
Yeah. He sounds like a countryman for some reason. He just thought of a Dublin. I was like, sure. They're calling me the King of Crete. And we just laughed our heads off that for so long. And we kind of kept, like, within my own group of friends, we kept that going where it was like, who's they? Who's the they in this situation? It's like, they're calling me the King of Crete. And so whenever we did anything, it would just be like, they're calling me the king of, like, bluffing. They're calling me the king of whatever. And then I think one of my mates just suggested, there you go, they're calling me the king of chemo. And I was just sort of like, it's got a bit of a nice ring to it. So yeah, that's how I got the username. Also, very stupidly, that wasn't my only username. I think that was my username for YouTube, and then I had like a different username for it was my username for TikTok, and then I had a different username for YouTube and a different username for Instagram. And I only realized how stupid this was when I did my first podcast, and someone was like, so where can people find you on social media? And I was like, oh, bollocks. I thought I was being a creative and being like, yeah, fucking, I'm the man who, like, who's got cancer, not cancer, and all this. And I had these other little sort of puns, and then I was like, no, you keep things uniform. Everything is the exact same. And even if you do that, ITV can still leave out the in your title and mess things up when you go on the Good Morning show. But anyway, next question.
What's your go-to drink on a night out?
Guinness.
How do you think like the social aspect of people pitying you because of a health thing, how does that kind of affect you socially with relationships?
Can't stand it. Can't stand it at all. The odd time I it's kind of cool because I'm famous in Ireland and I'm not in London, and I really like that because I don't particularly like fame. Like it's not. It's useful in some situations, but like most of people's happiness comes from your friends and family. So like it adds some benefits. Like it's nice getting free stuff where you kind of like and you can kind of get invited to some events that are quite cool. But overall, like it's not a particularly cool thing. It's nice to be able to meet some other celebrities, because then you quickly realize that they're just normal people as well, that you can just sort of bond with is just sort of like David Goggins would be a perfect example. I haven't met him, but he's actually responded to me on Instagram. So hopefully when we're doing the America trip, we can get in touch with him. Even though I'd be terrified to meet him because it'd be like, yeah, I'm cycling across America. It's like, did you do it in one go? Like, no. But I've got cancer. It's like, that's an excuse. Get on your back right now. Stay hard, motherfucker. So gonna mix it up a little bit. Some people still sort of like they want to start telling their heartfelt stories. And I'm fine with that when it's like sent to me in a direct message, or like if it's at a talk like this, because it's sort of it goes with the parcel. But if I'm out like having a couple of pints with my friends and someone else comes over and they start wanting to talk to me about like how their mother died young or whatever, it's like on the one hand I want to be respectful about it because, you know, obviously they're opening up. On the other hand, it's like I don't want to fucking talk about this sort of shit. I'm here trying to have fun. I don't want to be reminded of like my terminal existence and all that sort of thing. But I have actually mastered the way to get over that, where it's just like start taking the piss out and start to be like, no, shh, like that. And usually people start like quickly realizing, yeah, fair enough, this is not really the place to talk to that. And 99.999% of the time that does just end it right there. Yep.
What do you think of MRI scans, like definitely?
Yeah.
How
Good. Saved my life.
loud do you find them?
Pardon?
How loud do you find them?
Well, like, yeah. If you were to just try and get an MRI scan, you'd like pay through your nose to do it yourself, or you'd have to have very serious reasons to do so. While you go into the room, they have to have air conditioning on because the machine itself heats up so much because of all the amount of power that's going through it. And it's a gigantic magnet that the whole thing. I don't know quite how it works, but it like sounds like a train when you're going in. There's like a loud sort of chucking noise. You can sort of almost feel through the atmosphere rather than the actual the feeling of a wobble, but you can sort of feel there's something gigantic going around. So it's like space travel.
How did you find your confidence to talk about your cancer and all this?
Great question.
Scott Lucky.
Yeah.
I wish, like, I get asked this a lot on podcasts where it's like, you know, so how do you like teach charisma? It's like, I don't know. They'll tell you. I never shut up in class. So like, I don't know. Yeah, I just sort of went with the territory. I never really had too many problems talking to. I suppose it was like my job's involved a lot of conversation. I used to be a pub crawl guy.
What was it like going on this morning talk show?
Which one?
The this morning with
In the UK.
Holly and Phil.
Oh yeah, everyone is always like, you know, are they nasty pieces of shit in life? It's like they seem fine to me. They're absolutely fine. Very very nice to get along with. I was really annoyed with the production crew though, because I was like, yeah, just make sure you get one thing right, which is my username, and they got that wrong. I was like, yeah.
What was the Miss Doyle story?
Miss Ward, who is now Miss Doyle, I believe. So I was taught French by her in up until like I think third year, maybe second year, and then because at that point in my life I was sort of used my I have dyslexia card to being like, yes, I don't have to do French or Irish anymore. Brilliant. And then I think it was in fifth year, maybe fourth year. So 2 years, 1 year in the difference between when I was last doing a French class. I ended up just sitting in the back of her room because it was like my teacher didn't come in that day. So it was like, oh, we have to just put the students somewhere. And I was in the back of her class. And she was, by coincidence, teaching French at the time. And questions were being asked, nothing was said. And then so even though I was there like doing something else, probably just drawing willies on a blank piece of paper, I decided I'll answer. I know the question to that, so it's like, you know, yeah, je veux or whatever, and it's like, yes, correct. And then class goes on, same thing happens again. No one answers the question, and then it's like, allez le bleu, and it's like, yes, well done, Ian. And then one of your students turns around and says, Jesus, Ian, you're pretty good at French. Do you still like learn French? And then I started on my spiel of like, well, no, I had dyslexia and therefore I was taken out of the thing and yada yada yada. And then she cut me off in the middle of the sentence. It was like, no, you quit French because you're lazy. And I remember thinking like, oh my god, because it was absolutely 100% accurate. And Ferdy and myself both agree where it's like we did not focus on the languages so much while we're in school, and because they are hard, but trust me, they are the best things that you can learn when you're going out into the world. They're not necessary for life, but there is a deep sense of satisfaction when you're in a foreign country and you can speak the native language to whoever you're speaking to. And afterwards, we couldn't learn Spanish at the time, but me and Ferdy had both, like, you speak not fluent, but able to have a conversation, and I speak enough what's called survivable Spanish. So if I was in Spain, I could, like, you know, sort of get by if no one else could talk. Anyway,
Get another group in.
I was thinking that question would be asked, and I honestly can't answer because it was all down to, like, different situations. Miss Doak was brilliant when we were doing our play. That was a lot of fun. I don't think you ever taught me anything. Well, outside of life.
No, it's just insane.
Yeah, so it's like, even without sort of subject matter, it's like, I couldn't pick one out. Sure.
Was it a relief when you kind of found out, like, running and the world record? Was it that kind of, like, focus you? Did it kind of more... Was it more a relief to just have one thing and you could just work towards?
Oh yeah, definitely. It just, like, it opened up so many other doors for a million other things, and, like, I constantly have I think the thing that I'm most kind of happy with is the fact that I was always very creative, but, like, I never had a proper avenue to express it. And now it's like, it's, you know, social media, so it's like there's absolutely no limiting factor whatsoever. If I come up with a good idea, I got sponsored by a company called Brewdog. It's not as popular in Ireland as it is back in the UK, but I got sponsored by them because I had their cans and I collected loads of them, and not from drinking, of course, and then sellotape them together, making a big hexagonal circle. And I made a few of them, and then had a pole that I wrapped the cans around as well, and made it into, like, a big deadlift machine that I was like, yeah, wow, like this. And then I was like, here's me doing wacky stuff with, like, you know, stuff that I collected. Sponsor me, and it worked. So yeah, just, like, creative ability to do whatever I want all the time. It's a gift. Yo.
What video game character are we going to dress up as?
Excellent question. I reckon you'll like the answer to this, seeing as how I walked through the path on the way up here. Solid Snake is probably the likely choice, seeing as how I have similar hair to him, and also because he dresses like a soldier, so that's practical in doing a marathon. But maybe Kratos. Yep.
Were there any teachers here that you recognized from when you went to school here?
All of them. Yeah. Yeah, all the ones that were here, yeah, completely recognised. Very few of them actually look different. It's the same when we had a school reunion. It was just like, you look the same, you look the same, you look the same. Anyway, someone over here?
Did you end up going to Peru, or are you trying to do it this year or so?
No, I already have been to Peru, so I just use that as an example. I would highly recommend Peru. It's about 17 countries cramped into one. It's amazing. You can be in a desert, you can be in the mountains, you can be in the beaches. I've never experienced anything like it. Yep.
How old are you?
33. Yep.
How long do you spend in the gym? Because you look like a bit buff.
Honestly, I don't spend that much time in the gym at all anymore. I think I just built a big frame, and then that was it. So, like, after Mount Temple, I did some rugby training, but we all had to go to Clontarf rugby club, and it wasn't as fun just because everyone was taking it too seriously. And I was like, I'm not a particularly good rugby player at all, I just did it for the crack. And so after that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I still lifted a few weights. But then I started doing running training, and just for the sake of it, didn't really have any sort of goal, until one of my friends was like, oh, how quick did you run around the the coastline? And whatever time I gave them, they were like, that's a good time, Ian, you should, like, push that a bit more. And so I got into running for a while, but then after I did the London Marathon, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm bored of this, and went back to just doing strength training for quite a few years. And I don't know if any of you guys would know, but your muscles act in two different ways. They can grow together at the same time, but most of the time they're more kind of fighting for territory, and they're called type 1 muscles and type 2, and fast twitch, slow twitch. Slow twitch are really small and tight, and they work better for longevity, for endurance. They're the marathon runners. That's why marathon runners often look a lot smaller. Whereas fast twitch muscles are more for power, more for strength, more for sprinting. And I was more into lifting weights just because it was so easy to be like, I lifted 100 today, tomorrow I lifted 105. So it's like, there you go, perfect. Like you just know you're improving. So I stuck to it way more. And now I'm finding it, my marathon times compared to where I left school are so much slower because I have all this extra weight that I don't actually want. Like, it's nice to look at, but like it doesn't help me go faster, and that's the more important thing. So yeah, there's that.
Okay, guys, it's
There's one more.
What's your TikTok username?
TheKingOfChemo.
What was the name of that YouTuber you said a second ago? You said, oh yeah, how is he still out here? He's like a robot.
David Goggins.
David what?
David Goggins. Goggins. Yeah, he was famous for writing a book where it's like, can't hurt me. He's a former Navy SEAL. Yep. The last, see, I don't do heavy squats anymore because I have a meniscus damage, and also so when you are running distance, that is your body working the muscles that are called slow twitch muscles, and when you're lifting heavy weights, that is where you get into what's called fast twitch muscles. And they can kind of go within the same sort of area of the muscle tissue, but generally if you're training one, it kind of pushes the other one down. So I stopped doing heavy squats. I know my legs don't look the same way, but I just can't get them to shrink, even though it would be much easier to run on lighter legs. But I think, does anyone ever heard of the 1,000 Pound Club? It's pretty niche. So it's a powerlifting thing where it's like a bench press, a deadlift, and a squat. If you add them together, they get to 1,000 pounds. I put myself into that. That was a goal for a year, and so the heaviest squat I think was 160 kilos. But now I wouldn't know now, and I wouldn't try now because I do a lot of squats, but it's like it's not worth the risk to try heavy stuff now, because same thing with jiu-jitsu, I can't do jiu-jitsu anymore, and I love that so much. But it's just not worth the risk, because if that cracks, it's like, all right, well, I'll be the fastest person in a wheelchair on the marathon. So still an option, but next. Yep.
Why are you running a solid snake?
Does it look like him? That's it. Also, it's the world record for the number one fastest person as a video game character, and the options that I had were Solid Snake, because I kind of have similar hair to him. Also, I really want to start to smoke a cigarette afterwards, because I would like have a t-shirt where it's like, for cancer research. And then I wanted someone to be like, I want to be like, yeah. And then have someone be like, you're what? I thought you're raising money for cancer research. And be like, oh, no, I'm raising money for cancer, not for cancer research. Do something like that. Also, I played Metal Gear Solid when I was like growing up, so there's like a strong connection to like being able to do all that. And I run literally really hot. It's definitely the hardest thing for me. If the weather is raining, I am like Senna. I go so much faster in the rain, just because it's literally like keeping me cool, washing the sweat off the face. Whereas if it was hot, which both the Dublin Marathon and the London Marathon this year were quite warm, it slows me down so much. So with that in mind, I had to be very careful with what kind of video game character I want to go as, because everyone has always suggested, oh, surely you should go as Sonic, he's known for being fast. It's like, yeah, but then I'd have to dress like Sonic and wear a big like Sonic outfit, and that would be really hard to run in. As an example, I went as Skrillex for the Manchester Marathon, and all I had was like a little box like this big. It was just like a shoebox, which weighs, as you can imagine, not very much, and my shoulders were in bits by the end, just because anything in a marathon, if there's a slight problem with it, if there's like a stone in your shoe, very quickly it becomes a massive problem, just because you're at it for like 4 hours. And that was the hardest marathon that I did that year. I think that was it. Yeah, so Solid Snake is a soldier, so therefore the clothes, you can just wear like leggings and a top, and it would be fairly easy from a practical standpoint to do that. The other option is shave off the whole head, wear very little, and go as Kratos from God of War. Yeah. Next.
Is there any tattoos you
I wouldn't get anything that's very obviously gonna get a load of people being like, no, we're not gonna follow your account. So like no swastikas, that sort of thing. But other than that,
Well, I'd assume
huh?
that you wouldn't get that.
Yeah, but anything else is absolutely fine. Like on the tattoos where it's the list, it's not putting up there because you won't be able to read it. But like someone got not Grangers, Grangers for life. Someone got Glasgow Warriors or Glasgow Rangers. We are the people. So it's like I get any tattoo. I don't particularly care, as long as it's not something that is like, you know, very very racist. But if it's like, you know, potato famine for life or something, like, yeah, fair enough. Go for it. Why not? Yeah.
Why out of everything? Why running? Like the right one?
Oh, just because it's sort of it pairs easy enough with the association. So like, because I had cancer, I knew if I do something physical, it was kind of defy the stereotype. And I had previously done a marathon pretty soon after I left university, I think. I did the Dublin Marathon, and marathons are just like, they're basically all for charity. Very few people actually do marathons just to run them. Like to enter into a marathon, they have like a limit or a number for what you have to actually raise before you actually get a place in there. Exceptions being if you're an elite level athlete and that's your actual thing. So the marathon just made sense. Also the world record thing, I knew because I'd done previous marathons that you could dress as anything you want, anything goofy, and you could have a world record. So I thought, if I'm doing this over social media, it's a unique selling point, it's something entertaining, and we can go from there. I haven't broken the other world records on the way. Like, I wouldn't really count them too much, but on the road to getting fast enough to do a sub-3 marathon, which is very, very hard, I want to be the fastest marathon runner as royalty, and fastest marathon runner as a patient, as an actual hospital patient.
What's your fastest marathon?
My fastest marathon was the London Marathon, which I actually did something called a bandit run, which is where you don't pay for it. Not because I didn't have the money, but just the places fill up so quickly for the London Marathon. I did 3:33. And I remember getting on that one was pretty funny because I had done the London Triathlon, and so the way that I snuck on was I had my bib, but I had it folded over at the top, and I waited till one of the waves was about to go, and I came in and I had these tracksuit tops on that I never wanted to see again, and I ran up to the start of the line being like, oh my god, I'm so late, please have to go. And they were like, oh yeah, go. And then when I got to the end of the thing, because I didn't have a tag, I was like, hey, can I borrow that medal for a second? There you go. And off I strolled. So yeah.